I got a new camera, i.e. a new phone, and we're going to be talking about nostalgia today. Now that you can see my face clearly in these videos, let me paint a clear image for you. There was a blonde-haired kid going to the school bus to go home. He sat down on the back seat of the bus, his favorite seat, and he got out his iPod Touch and a pair of headphones. And he sat on that back seat and listened to the same 3 artists every single day he got on that bus to go home and to get to school in the morning. How he didn't get bored of these artists, I don't know. But let's talk about them. So I had 3 distinct favorite artists when I was 14 years old, maybe 15. I think I got into these guys when I was 14. So we'll say I was 14. The first one is named Classified, Canadian rapper. I found him through the Madden 12 soundtrack because for some reason I bought Madden 12 in like 2014 because I'm always late to the party. Anyway, I heard his song called That Ain't Classy. I loved it. I still like that song to this day. I mean, let's be real. It's a banger. If you've heard it, you know it's a banger. So I heard that on Madden 12, and I decided to check out that album which it came from. And I think at this point, I never actually listened to a full-length album, so I downloaded Spotify, looked this guy up, and all this album stuff was new to me. So I didn't know what I was getting into, but I listened to his album called Handshakes and Middle Fingers. And man, I loved it because at that time when I was a youngin', I didn't know how much rap was out there that told stories and stuff like that and was like real rap. I'm not trying to start that conversation because that's a whole new rabbit hole that I don't even want to go back to my hip hop head phase because that's so cringe. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the album. So you got an intro which has these horns, and it's about him talking about his daughter trying to provide. It's some real shit. And then another song I really like is called Unusual, and actually Joe Budden was featured on that song, and I know he's like a clown now, but he was spitting on that track. There's a Uriah Heep sample that's really good on that song. It's in the chorus, it's in the beat, really, really good sample there. And then there's another song I like which has this crazy flute sample, and Brother Ali is featured on it, which we'll get to him in a bit. He raps about his come-up story with rhyme sayers, which that verse is just so good. I still love that verse to this day. It's one of those verses that you just know all the lyrics to. Then there's another song I like called The Day Doesn't Die, which the drums on that are so good, but the message and everything is a little bit corny for me going back. It kind of reminds me of the Code Lyoko theme, which I don't know why. It just kind of sounds like it. But I mean, going back, of course I still like the song. That's something I wanted to address in this is I don't know if another person would enjoy these things since I enjoy them as a teenager. And I'm older now, I'm more mature, so my ears have matured a bit too, but there's a nostalgia factor that goes into this, where you're still gonna enjoy what you're hearing no matter what, I think. Oh, and the album ends with The Hangover, which is just such a great vibe, even now. I think more so now that I kind of understand where Classified's coming from in this track. I guess The Hangover is a metaphor for all the shit you go through in life. It's the aftermath, after you get drunk you get a hangover, so you can kind of put the pieces together. And then more stuff that I like from him. His self-explanatory album, I don't love the whole thing, but there's a couple really cool things about it. The first one being his choose your own adventure thing, which it's so cool. I've never heard it in a song. It will take you on an adventure. It says skip to track 12 if you want to do this, skip to track 10 if you want to do this. So I thought that was really cool. That's something to look out for. And then there's a song called Breaking Up, which everyone should hear. Definitely will help you through some stuff. It's all about a breakup and how he met his wife, which I think is really cute, and the song's just really enjoyable too. Still got it, just love that beat. Had to mention it. And then there's a song on there called Things Are Looking Up, which I can relate this back to The Day Doesn't Die, where going back now it's kind of corny, but there was a time in my teenage angst when this was like my favorite song of all time. Like, this song got me through so much, so it will always have a special place in my heart. I love it for its message and everything, and even if it is a little bit cheesy, I don't care. Now on to the bad that I remember from Classified. There's not as much as the next guy, but the entire self-titled album is just... it's just not good. There's a song called 3 Foot Tall, which... it's so cringe. But it's not as cringe as the next song, called Inner Ninja, which is, like, about fighting bullies or... like, these songs sound like they could be on, like, the Disney Channel for, like, the Wiggles or something. Like, I'm sorry. That's just my opinion on them. I will say there's a couple songs on the album, like, there's, like, 2 songs on the self-titled album that I really like, which are Anything Goes, which features Raekwon. Or no, I'm not thinking of Anything Goes. I'm thinking of Only Say It 'Cause It's True. That features Raekwon. That's a good song. And there's a B.O.B. feature on Higher, which I know B.O.B. is also a clown now for thinking the world is flat. But that song is really good. It's a fun song. It's all about weed. I personally don't light up, but weed anthems are fun. Yeah, but I think it's funny how I'm looking at all these features and, like, all of them now are, like, not what they were back in 2011, 2014 when this stuff was coming out. But that's it for Classified, so let's move on to the next dude, which is Asher Roth. I also found Asher Roth from Madden 12, and he kind of... Classified opened the floodgates to hip-hop for me. Asher Roth opened them musically for me. I mean, I found a bunch of, like, other genres that I like because of Asher Roth. So, what I found him on was Madden 12 with his song Last Man Standing, which to this day I still think is absolutely incredible. I love the guitar riff, because you don't hear a lot of electric guitar riffs in rap, so hearing that is really cool. And Akon is on this song, and he has a killer hook. If you look this up, you'll be like, this is one of those songs I've heard before, but I had no idea this is what it was called. It was very popular in the NFL when it came out, so it was like on NFL commercials like all the time. But the second verse of this song is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Let me read you some of these lyrics. I'm a red pill taker, who's my real maker, group homes and tombstones to feel safer, loopholes for new souls to keep praying to, grown to complain, I create the lane I stay in. That shit blows me away every time. Doesn't matter how much I hear it. Love that verse. One of the best rap verses of all time. Don't care what anybody says. It's fantastic. And then Asher Roth released another song like a year before Last Man Standing called Grind. And like, I would consider this a guilty pleasure because I listened to this song every single day I would go home from school, like I said in the beginning of this video. But this was like a whole year I listened to this song. And like, looking back now, like, he looks like Napoleon Dynamite on the cover. Like, it's just like so corny, but I love it. I still love it. But I would consider it a guilty pleasure now. His entire Retro Hash album is good, which is the one that came out when I actually started getting into his music. I would still consider it good to this day. It goes into like his hippie phase, because like we'll get into his backstory in a second, but he turned into a hippie pretty much. And sorry if that's offensive, I don't think it is. Anyway, it definitely has a retro vibe, hence the title. Tangerine Girl sounds like it could have came out in the 70s from like the Beatles or something. Maybe not the Beatles, but I don't know. Pull It mixed dubstep with like smooth guitar riffs, which I thought was really cool. Something for Nothing has an amazing guitar melody and really soft vocals from a guy named Coil Gorilli, I believe his name is. He became a little more popular like years after this album was released. And then there's Fast Life, which is a really realistic story about a depressed girl trying to find her way through life, which I thought was really cool. And now that I'm grown up, I think it's even more interesting and introspective of a song. And the rest of the album pretty much maintains the vibe. It's just a pretty good album overall. Oh, one more thing. His entire Pabst and Jazz album, I think it came out in 2011. He spits his ass off on that album. Like, he is just rapping his ass off the whole project. So I gotta give him props for that. But now, Asher, we have to get to the bad, which is a good bit more than Classified had behind his belt. So, the bad. The entire Asleep in the Bread Aisle album is just absolutely terrible. I can't put it any other way. If you didn't know, if you're my age, you've heard of this, the most unrealistic college song of all time, called I Love College. And if you listen to it, it makes college sound like the most fun experience ever. Doesn't talk about all the studying, doesn't talk about all the time you have to waste sitting at your computer. It just talks about the partying, the girls, the booze, all that stuff. Which, I mean, yeah, you get some of that in college, but, like, you gotta take the good with the bad, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then also, the song Blunt Cruisin' on this album is one of the worst songs I've ever heard. My God. Spare your ears from listening to that track. I know you probably have curiosity now that I said this, but just spare your ears. There's a couple pretty good songs on here. And by a couple, I mean like 2 or 3. Luddy-Duh, Fallen, and Sour Patch Kids are pretty good, but the rest is just Jesus, man. Like, anyway, I'm glad Asher got away from the commerciality he was led to. Honestly, he could have been an industry plant when he came out. Very early industry plant, because I think he blew up around 2009. I haven't listened to much of his new stuff, but from what I've heard, he's definitely on a better path. I think he's happy with what he's producing, so I'm happy for him that he kind of found that ground to stand on. Anyway, we gotta move on to the last dude, which is Brother Ali, who I talked about for a little bit before. There's pretty much no bad in Brother Ali, so this is all gonna be good. And if I listened to you when I was 14 and I still think you're dope, you're really fucking dope. So the way I found him was, I think I looked up on a forum rappers like Classified, because there was a time when I only listened to Classified and Asher Roth. Like, they were the only ones in my music library. Somebody suggested Brother Ali, so I listened to his first album, Shadows on the Sun, and I heard Room with a View, and it had the same sample as one of the Classified songs I liked, so I was instantly intrigued, and that sample was, like, kind of mellow at first, and then this song transitions into, like, horn sample, just absolute crazy Ali, like, he's aggressive on these tracks, which I love. I love aggressive Ali. He's toned it down a bit on his newer projects, but, like, the Ali I liked the most was this angry, aggressive Ali, rapping about his come up in Minneapolis, how his son almost got shot and killed through the window of a car during a shootout at, I think, a Donny Hathaway concert or something. That shit was crazy. And then there's a lot of great other songs on there. Champion just has a ferociousness to it that I love. The beat on Star Quality is perfection. Ant produced all this album. If you don't know who Ant is, he is one half Atmosphere, which is another group that I liked back in my younger days. Still like him. Forrest Whitaker, such a good track about self-acceptance. If you didn't know, Brother Ali is albino, so he had to go through a lot of stuff with that. Dorian is about him encountering a domestic violence case, and he ends up beating the dude up, and then at the end, Brother Ali gets arrested in the song instead of the domestic violence dude. So that was an interesting twist. And then the song that affected me the most from this album is Picket Fence. That's all about Brother Ali's albinoism. I don't really know which word is the correct one. But my God, some of the lyrics on there just make you want to shed a tear. On to his second album, which is The Undisputed Truth. Uh, Pretty different from Shadows on the Sun, but also more of the same. What You Got has these heavy metal guitars, which I did not expect to hear on a rap album, so that was really cool. And then there's also Truth Is, which that song I listened to on repeat the first time I heard it. He's so angry on it. I love it. There's also a lot of happy bangers on this, like Daylight and Take Me Home. And Brother Ali can not just rap, he can sing. He is a pretty good singer for being a rapper. There's also a lot of political themes on this project, being released in 2007, so you still had Bush as the president, and the recession was about to take place, I think, or that was like the year after. I don't know, but he wasn't happy with the current U.S. political situation. Yeah, very political, because you have a song called Uncle Sam Goddamn, which, by the way, has an amazing harmonica sample, and there's not enough harmonica samples in hip-hop, or any genre, to be precise. And what I think I like about this album better than Shadows on the Sun is that you get a more personal picture of Ali. He named a song after his son Fahim, rapped all about him, and there's also a song called Walking Away, which I think is about his ex-wife. So you get a ton of stuff on this project. You get his personal life, you get his angry side, you get his happy side, a little bit of everything. Whereas Shadows on the Sun, it's mostly just aggression. There's a couple fun songs on there, but I do think the Undisputed Truth might be the better album. I don't know, it's really close. He has new albums out now, which are all great, but I just have so much respect for Brother Ali, man. Like, to make music that good, that consistently. The only album I don't really like from him is his Morning in America album, but that's because he had a new producer, so I don't really see that as his fault. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say about this. I figured it would be a pretty interesting video idea, so there you go. You know what kind of music I listen to at 14 years old. If you're 14 years old, what kind of music do you listen to? Also, you should not be ashamed of anything you listen to. I know I might have talked about some of these guys like I was ashamed to listen to them or something, but no. Like, I still listen to some tracks from these guys nowadays. It's just like a nostalgia thing, but also the music's really good too. So, with all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the new clear image of myself. I know I did. Anyway, we'll see you guys.